hearts of fire, create love, desire, take you higher, higher, to the world you belong. Hearts of fire, create love, desire, high and higher, to your place on the throne. We've come together on a special day, sing a message loud and clear. Looking back, we've touched on sorrowful days, future paths, they disappear. You will find peace of mind if you look way down in your heart and soul. Don't hesitate, because the world seems cold. Stay young at heart, 'cause you will never, never grow. No, never. That's the way of the world. Plant your flowers and you'll grow a pearl. Child is born with a heart of gold. Way of the world, make his heart grow cold. No, never, never. Listen to me now. Ooh, hearts of fire, create love, desire, will take you higher, higher, to the world you belong. Hearts of fire, love, desire, higher, higher, oh yeah, yeah. Hearts of fire, love, desire, higher, higher, oh. We've come together on a special day, send a message loud and clear. Looking back, we've touched on sorrowful days. The future and past, they disappear. You will find peace of mind if you look way down in your heart and soul. Way of the world, make his heart go cold. Ooh, never stay young at heart, you'll never grow. Oh, that's the way of the world. Plant your flowers and you'll grow a pearl. Child is born with a heart of gold. Way of the world, make his heart grow cold. Hearts of fire, love, desire, higher, higher, yeah, yeah. Hearts of fire, great love, desire, higher, higher. Listen now.
Okay, let's all take a moment for prayer. As we come together this beautiful day that God has made for us, we look around and see Mother Nature in all its beauty. We enjoy each of the trees and the flowers, the bushes, and all the little animals that scurry around. Just knowing that we are all one, we're all part of that, and that is part of us. And that's why being in nature feeds our souls, because nature is us. So in this knowing, we come together today to enjoy this time of community, to learn, to grow, to deepen in our spirituality. We know that each and every person who has put this service together is blessed, and we are blessed to have them among us. Our technical crew, our practitioners, our ushers, our hospitality, our music, and of course, Reverend Jen. We are blessed to have all these things in place that bring us to this place this morning. And we know that each person here is blessed and a blessing. And we know each person outside of this building is also blessed and a blessing, no matter how they are choosing to worship, whatever religion they may have, wherever they are in the world. They are blessed because we are all one, all on the same path to the same place, no matter what we call it. And we know this. So in this we are grateful, we are thankful, as we say together, and so it is. Our words of inspiration for today. The first one is from Emmett Fox, the Sermon on the Mount. The word earth in the Bible does not mean merely this terrestrial globe. It really means manifestation. In other words, your earth means the whole of your outer experience. When the Bible talks about the earth, possessing the earth, governing the earth, making the earth glorious, it is referring to the conditions of our lives. From Scott Aubrey, Spiritual Passages. Buckminster Fuller once said, "On this spaceship, Earth, there are no passengers, only crew. We are all crew, and we're not the pilot, co-pilot, or even the navigator. We are each the chaplain. We are each called to minister to one another and to the planet, to bring new life forward into the future and to nurture." And from our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes. Disregarding all evidence to the contrary, the student of truth will maintain that he lives in a perfect universe and among people potentially perfect. He will regulate his thinking to meet this necessity and refuse to believe in its opposite. At first, he may be influenced by conditions, and he may appear weak. But as time goes on, he will prove to himself that his position is a correct one. For that which appears imperfect will begin to slip from his experience.
Yesterday, I heard an advertisement for Halloween. I believe Halloween falls somewhere around the 31st of October. And I checked the calendar this morning just to be clear, and today is the 7th of August. And what came up for me in that realization is that we are in such a hurry. We are in such a hurry to get on to the next thing, the next day, the next event, the next happy whatever. We want to get out of wherever we are right now. We want to move on. Some of us are already focusing on a community get-together that's taking place this coming Friday night. And so we've projected, I call it time warping, we've time warped into the future. And the challenge with that for each of us is that we fail to see what is right here in front of us. We overlook the good that's happening now. We overlook the joy, the gratitudes that we have right now. This month, our theme is on nature. And today's talk title, what happened? Don't be getting ahead of me. I was just talking about that. Look how that showed up. See how easy it is to, yeah, no, that wasn't a test. Today's talk title is Earth Force Report for Duty. And what we're going to be talking about this month as in nature, of course, is our ability to recognize and identify with that connection that we have in nature. And report for duty is about the idea that we have wasted enough time ignoring planet Earth. We have failed to see or failed to pay close attention to all of the things that we are doing that is damaging this planet. This beautiful space where we come to learn and grow and develop and transform our lives and our very spiritual beings, and we're destroying it. And what we get to look at is that the time is up to pretend that someone else is going to fix it. Every time a young person gets on YouTube or somewhere and they talk about what they're going to do to save this planet, we all go, yay, they're going to do this. And the truth is, it's not up to them. It is up to each and every one of us. The days of disregard, destroy, take advantage of, and make the world what we want it to be without consideration for the future of the planet, these days have come to an end. We as spiritual beings on planet Earth are here to take care of the planet. One of the quotes that Janet shared with us this morning is that we are all crew on this spaceship. That means we all get to be actively involved to some level, to some degree. We have been called to nurture and protect the planet. I read an article, a little story from John O'Donohue. He's the author of Beauty, the Invisible Embrace. And he talks about, do we ever think about what Earth, this planet, is thinking about us? How it's connected to us? What it needs from us? It doesn't have the ability to speak to us. However, we are seeing a whole lot of very strong, powerful messages of all the things that are kind of going wrong and wonky that we need to do something about. But have you ever thought about that? How connected are you, and I know you will love this, how connected are you to the trees? I remember years and years ago at Mile High Church, they were preparing, they'd been visioning on a new sanctuary, and they were preparing to start the build. And they had a day where everyone came in and blessed the trees that were in the place of where the new sanctuary needed to go and needed to be moved or removed somehow from that space. And they had yellow ribbons tied on them. It was incredible. It was beautiful. Yes, people call us tree huggers. Fine. We get to look at what we are doing here, not just in how we interact with one another, but how we interact with the planet. In this month's Science of Mind magazine, once again, our spiritual leader, Edward Villon, Dr. Edward Villon, has a little write-up, and it's called The Tenderness for Our Planet. And in it, he tells a little story about going to Bhutan, which is a Buddhist nation. And the guide told them that the Bhutanese Buddhism has a saying based on life as one interconnected cycle. And the saying is this: at some point, all sentient beings were your mother. And then the guide went on to ask them, how are you treating her? How are you demonstrating your love back to this amazing being that brought you here and brought you life? And he says in this that I may be I may be called to be the voice of the planet, to speak on behalf of the planet. And if I need to do this, I must awaken to what it needs, what it takes to care for this planet. We may need to get some education about it. We may need to do a little research. We may need to listen to some of the things that are going on in the community that are supporting the process. He says, if I understand that this planet with its fierce energy, wild nature, cycles, changes, gifts, and challenges is a manifestation of the divine, I will treat it with care and respect. God is all there is. God is in all things. And so therefore, yes, indeed, this too is God in action. Our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, gives us a quote on abundance. We see abundance in the universe. We cannot even count the grains of sand on a single beach. The earth contains untold riches, and the very air is vibrant with power. Wow. So nature continues to remind us there's more than enough. There's more than enough. And in this more than enough, if that little voice is going off in your head going, oh my gosh, she's going to tell us we got to do something this week, she's going to give us homework, and I'm already busy, my week's already full, my calendar's booked, there's more than enough time. There's more than enough energy, and there's more than enough love, and there's more than enough money to take care of what we need to take care of. We live on this planet, yet we are living as one, in harmony with the planet and in nature and all living beings. So if we truly believe, keyword, if we truly believe that God is all there is, then let us live in a way that reflects that truth. That means that we need to pay attention to everything, all life, all expressions. As religious scientists, we are prompted and encouraged, oftentimes in our classes, more times than that in our Sunday messages, to step outside of that comfort zone and to take a risk, to do something that maybe we haven't done before. And I'm asking you and encouraging you this week to pay attention, because you're aware, you're very aware of the areas that need to be addressed, of things that we can do for this incredible planet. Holmes also says, I am guided by the same intelligence and inspired by the same imagination which scatters the moonbeams across the waves and holds the forces of nature in its grasp. I, you, every single one of you, we are guided by the same intelligence. We are inspired by the same imagination that created us. All of this universal stuff, the earth, the planet, the stars, the moons, the people, the animals, the creatures, the bugs, work in a perfect orchestration of life. At least all of these things did at one point in time. And then a whole bunch of people showed up and said, well, let's dig that up and let's cut that down and let's blow up that mountain because that's kind of in our way. And let's make it something else. And we did. And now the planet is struggling, and we're being called to take action. So let's take just a moment and consider, if you will, what is your definition of life? Life. What does it mean? If someone were to ask you to define life, what would you say? Many of us define life as people, humankind. We are the life. We are the expressions of the living one. And so are the animals. So are the plants. So is the very earth that we walk on. We just spent last month 5 consecutive weeks talking about how we're relating to all these things. And now we're going to look at what do they need from us? How can we be here and be in support? What can we do to make a definitive difference? We talk about how we connect with another human being and we hold them up and we honor them and we listen to them and we smile and we hold them in that space of high regard. Well, what can we do for our planet? David Bohm, who is a quantum physicist, said, "What we do to the earth, we do to ourselves. If we're disregarding it, if we're taking advantage of it, if we're not paying attention, it's showing up in other places in our lives. Very much so." One of the things we know is that life cannot be divided upon itself. If life is divided upon itself, it ceases to exist. That cannot happen. The cells in our body cannot be divided against the body. Life is symbiotic, organic, living harmony of all of its parts. The rocks, the water, the air, the plants. In our ignorance in the past, we have lost this knowledge. We have lost our deep connection to the planet and its inhabitants. And we don't need to look very far to figure it out. We can just look at how we treat ourselves and each other. But the truth is this: only we can heal the division that we and our forefathers have created. There isn't somebody out there that's going to come save us, that's going to come save planet Earth. There's a whole bunch of somebodies, and this room is filled with them, and so is the audience online. It's up to each and every one of us. Take off your shoes this week. Dig your feet into the earth. Feel the earth beneath you. Feel its support of who we are. And ask the simple question, what is needed of me? And I'm not asking you to go out there and come up with billions of dollars and go out and create some big, huge, amazing thing. One thing, that's it. One thing is all we're asked to do. One thing. What can that one thing be? Forget not that the earth delights to feel your bare feet, and the winds long to play with your hair. It's a quote by Khalil Gibran. Let the earth feel your feet. Let the earth play with your hair or the top of your head. And be with it. Be with that idea of what it's all about. I found some information about an Indian man by the name of Jadav Payeng. He has planted a tree every year for 40 years. As a result of this, what used to be a landscape devastated by erosion is now 1,360 acres of forest in Kokiklama, India. Did you hear what I said? 1,360 acres of devastated of landscape devastated by erosion. Nothing could grow there. Nothing could live there. He's planted a tree there every year for 40 years, and now it has 1,360 acres of forest land. One person's contribution. And the forest land is now bigger than Central Park, and it is filled with hundreds of elephants, rhinos, boars, reptiles, and birds. This man, Jadav, is a botanical enthusiast, and what he says is that he will plant trees until his very last breath. Wow, how amazing to know that there's someone out there with that kind of commitment, that kind of dedication, that kind of compassion towards the planet, to take the time every day and plant a tree. He said, nature is God. It gives me inspiration. It gives me the power. As long as it survives, I survive. A good thing to look at. Because what would we do if planet Earth goes away? What would we do if it starts to crumble away beneath our feet? Where will we go? Every single one of us has the ability to make a difference. And I struggled with this topic this week because I kept thinking, okay, now we're going out there and we're going into this whole universal realm and take care of the earth and take care of the planet. And how does that serve me on a spiritual level? Oh my goodness, as soon as I shifted my attention to doing things that take care of this planet, that are meaningful to me for this planet, everything in my world started to shift. You open the cupboard door where you keep that wonderful thing we call a trash can, and you go to put something in it, and you stop and you look at it to see if it has a recycle emblem on it. You ask the question. You take an extra moment to consider where this needs to go, what we can do with this. It's pretty simple. I started by picking up the trash that seems to show up in my yard overnight. I don't know if they're having a party out there. I'm not sure what's going on, but every day when I go out to walk Lotus, there's plastic bottles all crinkled up, and there's wrappers and trash and fast food wrappers and all kinds of stuff. Not massively, but, you know, here and there. So I started cleaning that up, and then one day I was standing on the corner of my yard, and I thought, well, there's stuff in the street here, and there's stuff over here, and there's stuff over here. And guess what? A little trash bag from Safeway or King Soopers. I shop at King Soopers. I don't know why I said Safeway. But anyway, a little trash bag can fit right in my pocket when I'm walking my dog, and I can pick up items as we walk. And I don't even have to think about how big the bag needs to be, because if the bag gets full, then that's okay. I take that bag home. One simple little thought, one simple little idea of how to make a difference. And it's feeding my soul. And many of you may be saying, oh, but Reverend Jen, you don't know what's going on in my world. You don't know what's happening. I'm gut-wrenched over the things that I'm trying to deal with, and I'm trying to figure this out, and there's this, and there's this, and I hear you. And I also know that the same power that is going to support you through that, whatever's going on with you, that same power that's going to lift you up to the next place of expression in your life is the same power that is seeking our support in taking care of this planet. The same power. The same power. Sharon read this quote earlier by Emmett Fox from the Sermon on the Mount. And I'm grateful that she did, because I wanted to explain it a little bit more. And so now you've heard it there, and you're going to hear it again, and now I can tell you a little bit about it. But what he says is, the word earth in the Bible does not mean merely this terrestrial globe. It really means manifestation. In other words, your earth means the whole of your outer experience. When the Bible talks about the earth, possessing the earth, governing the earth, making the earth glorious, it is referring to the conditions of our lives. So I was just talking about this. We're all caught up in the conditions of our lives. Maybe this month we don't have all the money to pay all the bills. Maybe we're trying to find a new place to live. Maybe the car is about ready to bite the dust and we're going to have to find another one. Maybe there's health issues in the family. Whatever the struggles are, whatever the challenges are, these are part of the conditions of our life. And these conditions are part of the form in which we are a part of. We came into this expression on planet Earth in form. And this earthly form is what it's all about for us, and it's the condition that shows up for us. The next time you look out at your yard and you see a couple of weeds that you wish weren't there, consider them as just simply conditions. You can choose to do with them whatever you choose, but they're conditions. I'm sure there are people in this room and online who have seen a movie or two about the self-destruction of planet Earth, of the situation where everyone is traumatized and things are falling apart and the world's going to come to an end if we don't send a spaceship out and do whatever, or we don't get a group of people that figure this out, whatever. We've seen those. You may find them entertaining, you may find them disturbing, you may find them a little bit too close to the truth of what's going on in the world. But there's plenty of movies out there, and some of them, there's heroes that show up and they change the world and everything's better and we get to go back to normal, which we seem to really want to do that a lot. And then sometimes the devastation is so damaging and it's so dire that at the end of the movie, you see 7 or 8 people walking through the desert, looking like they've been hit by a train, taking deep breaths in the realization that they may be the only living beings on planet Earth at that moment in time. Hollywood does amazing things, doesn't it? But I want you just to pay attention to that this week. I don't want you to go out and watch a bunch of movies because I don't think that's going to serve you, but that's your choice. But pay attention to that idea. It's not happening someplace else. We have fires in Colorado. It has become a season, and that season is showing up multiple times throughout the year. There's a reason why these things are happening, and there's things that can be done about it, and so we are being called. We are being called to do this. The one thing that's clear is it's going to involve more than just reducing greenhouse gases or turning off the lights throughout the day, or heaven forbid, the air conditioner. So many of us have been so grateful for air conditioning lately. It's tapping into our natural resources. We can work together as one family, as one unit, to support this planet. So my question is this: can we envision this? Can you go into that deep recess of your mind, of your idea, and can you see this? Can you see a world that works for everyone? Can you see what it would look like? Can you see what it would feel like if all people were cared for and accepted and embraced and respected? All people, all expressions of life, all animals, the planet itself. Can you see that? Because we really need to get a grip on being able to see that. Because we can't create a world that works for everyone if that's just the words we're going to say and we don't know how to make it happen and we don't even see it in our minds, in our hearts. So this week I encourage you to take the time, dream about it, think about it, contemplate it. Sit down with a cup of coffee, a cup of tea, a glass of water, and just think for a moment what it would be different, what would it look like, what would it feel like. That's where it starts, because that's when that energy starts to ignite within us. and becomes something more. We can envision a planet where the air is pure and breathable, where the waters are clean and drinkable, where animal welfare is upheld and embraced, and all people are treated equally. I would love to see that in my lifetime. And if I don't have that opportunity to see it in my lifetime, I want to do whatever I can to ensure that my grandchildren get to see it in theirs. So what's that going to be like for you this week? What is that one thing? That one thing that you want to do, that you can do to help protect the planet? If you see a plastic bag locked up in a parking lot, just waving there, and knowing it'll blow away eventually, and yet picking it up and getting rid of it. One little thing. It's not a major task we're being asked to do this week, other than to shift that focus just a little bit and recognize what we can do for this planet. Hafiz says it really, really well. We are house sitting for God. What a concept. We are house sitting for God. We share his royal duties. I water each day a favorite potted plant of his, this earth. This week, my friends, I encourage you to take the time. Pick up some trash that's not your trash. Recycle something that maybe you hadn't thought about before. Care for the grass, the flowers, the trees, the birds. Speak to the earth by digging your feet into the ground or immersing your hands into the earth. After the rain last night, walking outside and smelling the air and just being grateful for the amazing blessing of what has just taken place and the magic of it all. And tonight, perhaps tonight, you can look to the night sky and you can realize that we are one with all of life. We're made of star stuff, remember? And we're made of all of the minerals that make up planet Earth. We truly are one. Please join me in prayer. It is such a good place to be, a good space to be right here and right now, just breathing in the energy of this room, of this space. Just breathing in the very truth and the knowing that there is one power and we are one with it, and it is all-encompassing and it lives within us and we live within it. And to recognize that there is a oneness, a unity of all life. And it is not for us to disregard or turn away from it, but to acknowledge and support and love and care for. What a beautiful concept to know that we are all living in the arms of God, in the embrace of Spirit, and that we are cared for, and that everything we could ever need or want is right here, right now. And this is true of the work that we get to do to support and nourish this amazing, incredible planet, this place we currently call home. And so I know right here and right now that as ideas percolate this week and as visions come forth and dreams open up, that we take those steps to be those responsible stewards for planet Earth, because it is ours to do. And we are blessed because of it. So I simply give thanks. I give thanks for this opportunity to be here. I give thanks for the very privilege to live on this planet for whatever time frame I'm given. And I know that each and every one of us is blessed, and as we take those tiny, tiny steps, we shift our attention. We pay attention to those minute things that we didn't pay attention to before. As we do this week, we are blessed by God. And all good will come to us in many, many ways. And it's perfect. And it is by grand design that we simply release these words onto the law, knowing divine right action is happening in our own hearts, in our own minds, in our bodies, and in all of this life creation. So with gratitude, I let it go. I release it unto the law, knowing it's done. We let it be, and together we say, and so it is.
This is a real simple song. I hope you'll join me after I sing it through a couple of times. One people living on one planet, joining in one family. We are all one. One people living on one planet, joining in one family. We are all one. One people living on one planet, joining in one family. We are all one. One people living on one planet, joining in one family. We are all one. One people living on one planet, joining in one family. We are all one. One people living on one planet, joining in one family. We are all one. We are all one. We are all one.
Hello. I'm Reverend Jen Wild, Senior Minister for New Dawn Center for Spiritual Living. New Dawn Center is a global community, and we welcome all people, all paths, all ways of thinking, all philosophies. So know that you are welcome here, and thank you for joining our online community.